Good evening. After a two-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Bolter. That's 48 hours that law enforcement involved in a complex and dangerous manhunt.
Tim Walz, I don't know who thought he was a good idea. He was like a second iteration of Tim Kaine, but even worse. He turned out to be a pathological.
Picture this explosion of chaos. Tim Walz thought he was playing a calm, strategic game of chess. But Lindi Li just flipped the entire board, grabbed the queen, and started juggling pawns like a showstopper at a circus. What's happening here isn't politics anymore. It's a wild roast, a public unraveling, and a jaw-dropping twist that even Netflix couldn't script. If Walz believed his secrets were buried deeper than a locked vault, he's in for a shock. Lindi showed up with the keys, a bright flashlight, and enough popcorn to last through the drama. Every move he's ever made is under the spotlight. Every secret is dancing in the open. And it's getting hotter by the second. Get ready, because this showdown is about to explode with chaos and revelations that no one saw coming.
These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us.
He was trafficking in lies and conspiracies. He said that he never supported a national abortion ban. We have in writing a screenshot from his website wherein he supported a national abortion ban. So he was just lying with him.
Tim Walz was gliding into 2025, wrapped in his perfectly pressed Midwestern nice armor, thinking nothing could touch him. He was political comfort food, safe, mild, predictable. But then came Lindi Li, and she didn't bother knocking. She bulldozed straight through his spotless image with sarcasm sharp enough to slice glass. In seconds, his squeaky clean reputation transformed from golden to grimy. The man once seen as Minnesota's reliable casserole suddenly looked like leftovers left too long in the fridge, soft, suspicious, and smelling worse with every passing day. What once felt wholesome now reeks of exposure, and Lindy's the one serving it up, piping hot and merciless.
Who could possibly think it would be a good idea to lie about being in Tiananmen Square when you were in Nebraska? I mean, come on, it's just so beyond the pale. And now he's thinking about running for president. Didn't he get the memo that the American people do not want a second coming of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? And Kamala is in California considering a run for governor. We do not want any more DEI woke, any of that. We just don't. We're done with the woke and trans insanity.
If you're enjoying this takedown, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Walz's entire image has been one big performance, a calm, steady act, while chaos burns behind the curtain. He's the type to smile warmly, pat your back, and say, everything's under control, right as your Wi-Fi crashes, your fridge dies, and a raccoon sets your shed ablaze. It's that perfect illusion of control, smooth on the surface, pure disaster underneath. But Lindi Li just tore that illusion to shreds. She didn't just call him out, she ripped the mask clean off. Now everyone's watching the wreck unfold like it's the season finale of a political reality show. The calm governor is gone. What's left is the mess he tried to hide, and it's spreading faster than he can contain it. To really understand this roast, you've got to see the costume behind the act. Walz built his public image like a budget IKEA shelf, plain, practical, and just sturdy enough to hold a few shiny family photos. But look too closely, and you'll see the screws wobbling. He's the former teacher turned politician, the friendly neighbor you'd trust with your mail, the dad joke guy who somehow commands the National Guard.
What were they telling your mom, and how soon was it after the election? Like,
a
when
week
was
or two.
it?
When it wasn't at that point, I was just asking questions. Like, it wasn't even. I was like, what happened to the $2.5 billion we raised? Why did we spend it on Beyonce? Why did we spend 2.5? Why did we spend millions of dollars on Oprah? Like legitimate questions that needed to be answered. But the amount of hate I got for that was just overwhelming. And the final straw, the moment that I knew that I needed to leave was actually around Christmas.
Lindi Li took one look at Walz's record and basically said, "Nice mask. What's underneath it?" And then the floodgates burst open. Receipts started flying like confetti. And suddenly, the calm, collected leader act didn't look so calm after all. Walz loved to present himself as the steady hand on the wheel. But the truth? The car's been swerving like a teenager learning stick shift on a mountain road. His COVID policies alone were a masterclass in confusion. Open, close, reopen, shrug. It was leadership by coin toss, and crime a complete circus. He tried to dance between reform and law and order, only to end up tangled in his own contradictions. While he was busy polishing talking points, the headlines told a story that didn't match the bedtime tale of steady leadership. Lindi didn't just call out hypocrisy, she roasted it. She served sarcasm hot, tearing through his double standards with style. Walz claimed to stand with the people, but his real audience looked more like a DC cocktail crowd. He calls it grassroots, but you'd need a telescope to find the roots buried under all that political gloss.
And then the biggest tell of the evening was when he told the moderators, well, I thought the rules stipulated, or something to the effect of the rules were saying that you weren't going to fact check. And you talked about own goals. That was an own goal. That said everything.
But
so he was
Lindi,
counting on the fact that no one was going to push back.
are you frustrated then that Walz didn't make the argument that you're making to me right now?
I think he did a really good job tonight. And we had a live focus group.
Lindi didn't just poke holes in Walz's story, she shredded it like paper in a windstorm. Every polished statement he's ever made suddenly looked like cheap varnish on a cracked floor. She reminded everyone that shining your medals doesn't erase the questionable choices that earned them. The sting here isn't only that Walz looks inconsistent, it's that his whole friendly teacher next door vibe now feels like a costume he forgot to take off after the play ended. It's like finding out your favorite indie band was actually created by a marketing team in a boardroom to appeal to suburban shoppers. That's Walz, the store brand candidate in a fancy label. Now that he's stepped onto the national stage as Harris's VP pick, the spotlight isn't soft, it's scorching. Every flaw, once hidden in Minnesota's comfort zone, is now headline material. Lindy's out there waving a neon sign saying, "See this?" If Walz thought his cardigan charm would save him, that dream's burning fast. She didn't just share facts, she made them sting, like lemon on a paper cut. And now, his team's panicking, trapped between staying silent or firing back, and either move could explode spectacularly.
Highest rating of the night when he pointed out that Trump completely failed on the border. He didn't deliver on the border wall that he promised. He blew up the border deal that we had border as a campaign issue. So he scored really highly also when he mentioned Matthew 25 and how his faith guides and inspires his empathy for people, a quality that Trump and Vance so abundantly lack.
Responding to Lindy's firestorm is a trap, because stepping into her arena is like walking straight into a hurricane with a paper umbrella. Once you engage, you've already lost. But here's where it gets wild. It's no longer just about Walz. It's about the entire political machine built on image and illusion, and he's become the unlucky face of it. Lindy's not just throwing shade. She's pointing at the emperor and shouting, "Your new clothes don't fit." That's why this hit cuts deeper than a standard critique. One viral roast cracked open the dam, and now journalists, rivals, and online sleuths are digging into Walz's record like treasure hunters in a scandal mine. Once someone whispers, "There's a crack," everyone rushes to see how deep it goes. Now, As Walz tries to play the calm co-pilot for Harris's campaign, the internet's comparing him to a man shaking a martini during an earthquake. Lindi lit the match, and everyone's standing by, watching the fire spread. Meanwhile, spin doctors are panicking, scrambling to rewrite the script before the flames hit the curtains, but it's already too late.
It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life.
Feedback. I want to take you back to the very first answer that he gave. Let's just remind ourselves, he sort of stumbled through. Right now the crisis in the Middle East is, front and centre of the global news agenda. And we would expect maybe that someone who was running to be the vice president would have more confidence. Let's remind ourselves of what happened.
October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
Walz's team is now in full panic mode, trying to decide whether to double down on that cozy cardigan charm or pretend nothing's happening. But both moves are disasters waiting to happen. When Lindi Li roasts you, it's not a debate, it's a 5-alarm barbecue, and the smoke sticks around for weeks. The first excuse is always, it's out of context, because that's the go-to defense of every modern meltdown. Walz could slip on a banana peel, and someone would call it an inspiring act of balance. But once people see the pattern, no amount of actually statements can patch it up. The media's split in two. Some still treat him like the lovable Midwestern uncle who brings casserole to the potluck, brushing off Lindi's takedown as just internet chatter. But others smell blood, and nothing drives ratings like a political feeding frenzy. Suddenly, every minor contradiction from Walz's past is headline gold. The same things once buried in state-level footnotes are now national news, dramatized with soundtracks fit for true crime TV. Walz isn't just fighting for his image anymore. He's fighting the meme machine, and that's a battle no politician wins.
What do you think happened when he gave that answer, Lindi?
Well, as I mentioned before, J.D. Vance went to Yale Law School. He is seasoned, and I said this in the previous interview. This is what he does. He's slick and he's sharp, but Walz is a fundamentally good guy. And our focus group of battleground voters, mind you, understand that. They perceive that this is a down-to-earth guy, salt-to-the-earth guy who wants the best for the American people versus Vance, who is backed by Peter Thiel and was a venture capitalist and is working for his billionaire crony.
Lindi Li didn't just expose cracks in Walz's steady image. She proved it's as fragile as a paper straw in a hurricane. Overnight, social media turned her takedown into a digital circus. Memes exploded, videos spread, and hashtags like Walz's speed run of hypocrisy flooded timelines. The man who branded himself as Midwestern nice suddenly looked more like Midwestern chaos. And the internet doesn't just reveal chaos, it multiplies it. Once you become the punchline, taking back control of the joke is nearly impossible. But here's the twist. This isn't just about laughs, it's about trust. Politics thrives on it, whether it's genuine or just good marketing. And Walz's entire brand rests on that illusion of trustworthiness. Lindi ripped the mask off, showing his authenticity was more costume than character. Once voters see the zipper on the mascot suit, it's game over. You can't convince them it's real anymore. And what makes this even more brutal? Timing and tone. Lindi isn't just exposing hypocrisy, she's making it entertaining. And in today's world, that's what makes it lethal.
I mean, I'm not on anyone's payroll. I'm not beholden to anyone. That's why I'm here telling the truth. I'm not here to gaslight anybody. This is just the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth is the
This is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. Actually, it was $1.018 billion, I think, right? There were 20 million or $18 million dollars in debt.
Right.
It's incredible.
Lindi Li didn't just expose cracks in Walz's steady image. She proved it's as fragile as a paper straw in a hurricane. Overnight, social media turned her takedown into a digital circus. Memes exploded, videos spread, and hashtags like Walz's speed run of hypocrisy flooded timelines. The man who branded himself as Midwestern nice suddenly looked more like Midwestern chaos. And the internet doesn't just reveal chaos, it multiplies it. Once you become the punchline, taking back control of the joke is nearly impossible. But here's the twist. This isn't just about laughs, it's about trust. Politics thrives on it, whether it's genuine or just good marketing, and Walz's entire brand rests on that illusion of trustworthiness. Lindi ripped the mask off, showing his authenticity was more costume than character. Once voters see the zipper on the mascot suit, it's game over. You can't convince them it's real anymore. And what makes this even more brutal? Timing and tone. Lindi isn't just exposing hypocrisy, she's making it entertaining. And in today's world, that's what makes it lethal.
Millions of that. I have friends that I have to be accountable to and to explain what happened because I told them it was a margin of error race. I was promised, Jen O'Malley Dillon promised all of us that Harris would win. She even put videos out saying that Harris would win. I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled. And even on the night of election night, Will, I looked somebody in the eye and I said, are we going to do this? Are we going to pull it off? She told me yes. And I asked somebody else, like, how are you feeling? He's like, we're going to win Iowa. And I was like...
That's what makes Lindi Li's style so dangerously effective. Because in today's media jungle, no one shares bland analysis anymore. People want the punch, the roast, the bite-sized chaos that makes them laugh and gasp at the same time. That's how scandals go viral now, through entertainment disguised as truth. And while Lindi drops truth bombs wrapped in sarcasm, Walz's opponents are quietly toasting champagne behind the scenes. In politics, the worst hit never comes from your rivals. It's when an outsider exposes you, because that feels real and impossible to spin. Now the Harris campaign is sweating bullets. A VP pick is supposed to bring calm, not chaos. Walz was meant to be the reliable co-pilot, the safe pair of hands who wouldn't rock the plane. But now, instead of steady, he looks shaken. Instead of comforting, he looks rehearsed. And that's poison in an election where voters are allergic to anything fake. The speed of the downfall is shocking. 1 week, Walz was a political extra in the background, and the next, he's the headline act in a scandal no one can stop watching.
What's your take?
My take is the most neglected part of home ownership is the gutters. It's personal for me.
This is Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz making an appearance on the popular TikTok show Subway Takes.
Had problems with gutters before. You get your basement wet, you get ice dams, cause a lot of problems.
How often do you like looking at gutters?
I look quite often, surprisingly, because
Like
I kind
you're
of judge it.
inspecting.
I try not to be judgmental on people, but when I see a well-tended gutter, it says a lot about something.
Now, Walz isn't trending for his policies. He's trending for his contradictions. It's the political version of being remembered not for winning an award, but for tripping on the red carpet. Unforgettable, but for all the wrong reasons. The more he tries to laugh it off, the worse it looks. Shrugging makes him seem guilty. Smiling feels fake, and addressing it keeps the story alive like a wildfire. There's no safe move left. His brand was built on being the calm, authentic leader, but Lindi just tore the curtain back to reveal the man behind it all, and what's underneath isn't pretty. It's like realizing that your organic product was actually mass-produced in the same factory as the cheap stuff. Once people see that, there's no going back. What makes it poetic is that Walz's downfall isn't fueled by scandal. It's powered by exposure. His carefully built image is collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions, unraveling piece by piece. Death by 1,000 sarcastic cuts, and every one of them goes viral before the last one heals.